we're here tonight with Aaron Pays, aka Kid Star, coming direct from his studio. I can see my V synth behind you.
Yes.
And
Do you
it
see
looks
anything
like.
else of yours?
Sorry.
Do you see anything else of yours?
Um,
The
that
blind.
mixing console to the left.
Yep, that's one more. All right, you got one more.
Oh, God, there's more.
Yeah, I don't think you'll get this, but it's kind of hidden. But it's a big piece.
And it's in view.
Correct.
Oh, the Yamaha.
Yeah. It's so big, I have nowhere to put it. Except
you have most of my gear.
I know.
We're gonna have to change that.
Oh man.
All right. Well, for the sake of this, I'm just going to be calling you Kid.
Okay.
Like we do when we're typically hanging out.
All right.
Sounds good. Why don't you tell people a little about yourself, what you do, when you started doing it?
All right. Okay. As Buzz says, my name's Aaron Pays. I go by Kid Star, DJ Kid Star. I am a DJ and producer, and I guess you could even put /artist on there as well. I met Buzz, or you want me to start how I met you, or you want me to start how I got into music first?
Well, I mean, you didn't start out by meeting me, so go back a little bit. I know you were with when we met, you were with a group called Three Bad Brothers.
Yeah. Okay. So
you can start there, maybe, or
yeah. Most people have like a bio, like, oh, I started off at 4 years old, and that was not me. I took piano lessons when I was younger. My parents always tried to get me into other instruments. I wanted to be a guitar player. That didn't really pan out. I only was like,
I heard you play air guitar, and you were very good at it.
I do a lot of air guitar solos. That's right, on my album. But, I did like flute, stuff like that. Nothing really stuck except the piano, but that was the longest one. But even still as a kid, I didn't really pursue it. I was more into sports. So all my friends, though, were DJs. So when I went to the parties, I was more interested in the party. But to get into the party, I would carry their records into the parties. And, literally every one of my friends was a DJ, all 5 of them. It was either party after party. So I was always kind of around it. DJing music or whatever. And after college, I went to college to play football. And then after that, didn't really pan out. I love music so much. And I slowly got back into the party scene. And the party scene at that time was like the underground raves for like, back then we called it, just dance music. It's now called EDM. And
how were you playing things at that point? Did you go out and get turntables or?
No, so I was just literally like partying and promoting parties. So really, how I even turned to DJing was, my girlfriend at the time was like eye goggling this DJ up on stage. Thought it was so cool. And she was like, oh, if you could do that, I'd marry you. And I was like, do that? That's easy. I could do that. And sure enough, I went out and I bought my turntables and just started practicing. And me and my friend at the time, we decided to like start a label, not knowing anything of really what that entails and everything. Right. So easy.
Sounded cool.
Yeah, exactly. What else were we going to do? So yeah, I got the turntables. We trying to start our label, Green Behind the Ears. And yeah, just got to practicing. And then the two meshed. We were throwing parties. So we put ourselves on the parties to DJ.
And this was with Three Bad Brothers or?
This was like just with me and a partner at the time.
Okay.
And so while him and I were like learning like the ins and outs of the labels and also the DJing, there was this other guy that we would always put on the parties and who we were roommates with in the house, was more of the talent than us. So we decided to just form the group, Three Bad Brothers, which is how, when I came to Atlanta, you knew me as. Yeah. So from there, we moved around a couple cities down south, and through all those years of moving to different cities and going to clubs and DJing, we got better and better and started getting into more of like, remixing and trying to produce, you know what I'm saying? And I think when we went up to Atlanta, we went up there because we really got lucky and struck gold with one of our records. Well, I say records, but it was just a mashup, technically.
What was the song? Tell people what that was.
The song was called Walk on Water. It was on Q100. It was the #1 song on Q100. And I know that sounds like, oh, okay. But like, we were independent. We had no label support.
Right.
Literally, the song got played on a DJ mix show. You know what I'm saying? Out of everything. And people just called in for it. This was back in the day when people called in for the record and they tell you they like it. And it got so many calls that they forced it to go to a mix show to daytime radio. And for anyone out there who knows music, getting your song on daytime radio is pretty damn tough.
Yeah.
And this song was #1 for like 10 weeks over like 50 Cent, Pitbull. I mean, it was really like instant.
Now, what was your influence? You didn't write the song.
No, correct. So a lot of the music as DJs, you know, we don't really, a lot of the 99% of the DJ community doesn't produce. What they do is they like mix stuff up, and they call that mashups in the DJ world. You know, you'll take an acapella and put it over a different beat, or maybe you'll take a percussion loop and you can put it on top of a drum groove, or maybe a synth little, you know, note, and then you kind of like, you know, move it around a little bit to give it a different pattern. So that's what we were experimenting with at the time. Okay. We just got lucky with the record. It was like, you know, you're in the kitchen, you're throwing stuff together, and someone's like, this is really good. And it shot off, and you just, when they're like, oh man, make another one or do it again, like, you don't know what you did to make it. And now, so
how did you get it on the radio to begin with? Did it just
so one of the guys,
go ahead.
One of the guys we used to book for the raves was a DJ on Atlanta radio on Q100.
Okay.
Named DJ Mike B. And so we pumped out a bunch of vinyl of the song we did, the remix we did, record, and we gave it to him as one of the first guys. And you know, he played it because obviously we were booking him, and he was like, "Yeah, I'll give it a spin, see what I think." He loved it. He played it on the radio, and he just constantly played it, and people were just calling, you know, where can I get the song? Where can I get the song? Because at the time it was only on vinyl.
What year was this?
This was 2004, but we had made the record in 2002.
Wow.
So it took 2 years, because I mean, independently, we were only pressing like 1,000 pieces of vinyl. So, you know, between just
that's a lot for somebody that doesn't have a label or kind of a home, so to speak.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's how we did it. We probably like
gave away a lot.
Yeah, we gave most of the times we didn't press 1,000, but that song we all kind of agreed that it was something. So we pressed 1,000. At that time, to press 1,000, it was like $3 or $4 a record, depending on like how thick you wanted them or if you wanted covers or whatever.
Right.
But we just put them in sleeves. So it was like about $3. So you're talking about $3,000 to produce that stuff, and then you could sell the records to distributors at $5-6 a pop. So you could make your money back. That was back when distributors were buying your records, not like you have to pay distributors to get your stuff up.
Right, yeah.
So we made our money back quick, and then, you know, we could tell it was a good record because, you know, the mom and pop record stores would call us, and they go, we need more of those. We need more of those. And so, like I said, we sent it up to Mike. He played it on the radio, and people were loving it, and it got into rotation, and it was pretty like instant. And that was like, that was what brought us up to Atlanta. And a lot of things kind of ensued after that, because it was, quote unquote, a bootleg. The label whose vocals that was over in Holland was pretty upset.
Yeah.
They called the radio stations. They were wondering, because you know they get the sheet of the radio plays.
Well, and that's sample infringement. You know, you know, unless you get the permission from the artist and the record label.
Yep.
Because as you know, I was with Ichiban Records.
Yep.
For like 13 years, and we were starting like right in the cusp of when rap was starting to take place.
Yeah.
And samples were the flavor of the day.
Yeah.
And nobody knew what to do with them. Nobody knew what was legal, what wasn't, because you know this all started out as a street phenomena. Just, hey, I don't have money to buy an instrument, but I can play a record.
Yep.
And I'm sure it's not quite as simple as that, but you get the idea.
It pretty much was, yeah.
Well, I know Ichiban sent me out to Los Angeles because there was a convention regarding sampling and the usage of sampling. And it wasn't pretty. They were, all these labels were mad.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And their artists were mad because, you take MC Hammer, for example. I remember the head of Joe Bet Music, and I know I've told you this story before, but for those listening, the head of Joe Bet Music read a letter, and it was, "Dear Joe Bet Music, I have I'm using the music for Super Freak, but I have rewritten lyrics for the song, so I'm willing to split the publishing with you." Now, this is before Hammer even took off. And the guy, I forget who the guy who was the head of Joe Bet, said, "Let me read you my response. Dear Mr." And I know it wasn't Hammer, I forget what his real name was, but "Dear Mr. Hammer, you say you wrote new lyrics. Who asked you to? We will take 100% of the record."
Yeah, I remember you telling. That's crazy.
And that, that's what happened. And that happened to a lot of groups like De La Soul. They pretty much reside in where they now file because of that.
Yeah. So, and in hip hop they're big, but it's like, yeah, that's how hip hop was born, just jacking off, other people's beats and jacking people's, rhythms.
It was innovative. Some of the people were very innovative with it.
Yeah.
And some were just, like you say, you could just tell they were jacking a beat and trying to.
Yeah.
But like Tone Loc, when he did Wild Thing, and you remember that little drum fill?
Oh yeah.
He paid that drummer $10,000 to use that.
Yeah. I mean,
he didn't have to. He didn't have to. He did that because he felt this is going to be a big record, and this dude is a big part of it.
But everyone knows that drum fill. That drum fill. I mean, when that song comes in, I mean, that drum fill is like, that's the first thing you hear. You're like, oh,
right. But a drum fill is not copyrightable.
Yeah. Yep.
So, good on Tone for taking care of, the biggest thing of his record, really. I mean, aside from what he did, but so
yeah.
After that record kind of took off and you then started having issues, where did you go from there?
Yeah, major legal issues. No better way to learn than get thrown in the fire your first day, right? So, yeah. So after that, I kind of, had the mentality was like, man, that was, too much to deal with. Like, there's just too much like legal stuff. It's not like, it's you get into the risk is way more bigger than the reward kind of thing. And so at that point, in my mind, I had decided that we need to start doing original music. They didn't want to do that. So we had
meaning your two partners, the two bad brothers.
Not two bad brothers, yes. So we kind of split in mindset at that point, and that is when I came to you. I sought you out because I was like, the only way I'm going to learn how to make original music is get back into music and learn music. Because a lot of the problems going into the studio was that, we're just guessing. And I don't like,
you can't, you have to be able to communicate.
Yeah. I don't like getting lucky. I want to know what I'm doing so I can get there quicker, explain it, make things go smooth,
right.
fluid and stuff. So, yeah. So then I was just looking for piano teachers online because I knew that when I was a kid, piano was something that I kind of stuck with. And I still had like I knew basic knowledge of piano at that point, like what the keys were on the keyboard. I knew there was such thing as being in key. I didn't really know what that meant, but I was like, we got to be in key, and we have to.
I want to do that.
Yeah, we have to. I got to know why that has to work like that. So, yeah, I went online and I think I was just searching and I saw that I looked at your resume and it said, yeah, you know, you were the in-house producer for Ichiban and you worked with Curtis Mayfield. And I was like, that just aligns more with where I want to be. So I'm going to seek this guy out. And I didn't really go to many, I mean, I don't think, if I remember correctly, I didn't go to any other piano teachers. I just hit you up.
I mean, why would you?
Exactly. When you find perfection.
That's right.
But yeah, and then after that, we started doing piano lessons. And, you know, from there, I was kind of like feeding you songs and try to get your like input and kind of telling you a little bit more of.
Yeah, I remember mostly you were playing me stuff that was 6-7 minutes long.
That's like the EDM like arrangement.
Right. And my whole thing, you can do a 6 or 7 minute long version of something, but you should be able to say what you have to say in 3 minutes. It's been proven throughout time.
Yeah.
So I think I not made you, but I think I sat you down and we listened to a lot of different records that were 3 minutes or under.
Yep.
And then I gave you a homework assignment.
Yep.
Come back when you got something under 3 minutes.
Yep. And that was also it was under 3 minutes, but it was also, we had gone over like how to write songs with like with the call and response theory.
Right.
And so
tension and release.
Yeah. And so I put that together and then I came back with Miss My Baby.
Yes. And I still say that song, you know, had you had a major label behind you or even a great independent behind you, that could have been a very big hit.
Yeah, we did good on that one. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, and that's one of the things that when you came back with that, I was like, oh, this guy's serious. And so we actually started hanging out more than just for lessons, or at least an hour lesson turned into 2.
Well, yeah, because I was like, I like the bass line. You were like, oh yeah, I like it. I would have kind of done this. I was like, well, why don't you just do that? And then you replay that bass line. I mean, I had the sounds, whatever, but you were like, you need to beef it up. And I was like, well, how do you beef it up? Why don't you come over and beef it up? And then we were like, we got to get it mixed down. And I was like, all right, well, what does that mean? Come with me to get it mixed down. Like,
right. Yeah. And you know, at that time, I was just learning more about that type of music myself.
Yeah.
And I treat music like music. I don't put categories or labels on things, because no matter what you're doing, the same things apply. But there are a couple of things in EDM that differ from what I would normally do on, say, a pop record or an R&B album. Certainly different than what I would do on a blues record or a jazz record.
Mm.
So I think we were learning together at that point.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think the best thing that came out of all that, because I know that's when the other 2 bad brothers were like really splitting off from you.
Yeah.
They wanted to keep doing remixes. You wanted to go original. And
sure. And that's, you know, when I'm out, because at the time beforehand, we were, you know, hanging out 24/7. We lived in the same house, roommate the whole night. And then, you know, I wasn't there half time. I'm there practicing with you, or I'm on the, you know, and so, because you could tell we were just going 2 separate ways at that point. And then I tried to bring them over to the original, but it just, that wasn't them. And so, you know, at that point, the copywriting was on the wall at that point.
Well, you know, many a group have fallen to the, you know, the divorce syndrome. And more often than not, it's not pretty.
Yeah, for sure. I remember even having to talk with them being like, you guys were not good. You know, like, we got to get better. And they like it's like they took offense, like, hey, man, at least, you know, you got to admit you're not good. We got to find somebody to help us.
Even if you were good, you could be better.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, you should never hit your, your peak.
Yeah.
So, but I think one good thing that came out of all that was we started working over at a Audio Cam Records or Audio Cam Studio
Yep.
with my friend Rick Hinkle, and you gave him the nickname Slip. And how did that tell us how that came about?
So we in DJing, you work with loops or
Right.
samples. So each sample they have a loop, and when we were doing it, we didn't know any better, but we always thought we had to get it on the line, like on the grid.
Right.
In your DAW programs, whichever one you have, Ableton, Logic, Pro Tools, Cubase, you see the grid and there's a lock mode on the grid. So you want to get it on the grid. But every time we took projects over to Rick's, aka Slip's house, he was never being the grid, and he would just kind of like wand the samples or wave somewhere. And I was like, no, just snap it on the grid, and that's where it goes. And he would never. He's like, I don't work in grid mode. I work in whatever this mode was. And I was like, you just like slipping around everywhere. And I was like, that's your nickname now, Slip.
Yep, and it has stuck. And we ended up working so well because Rick is an extremely fine guitarist.
Yeah, he's awesome.
He's a great musician, period. I mean, he plays some keyboards. He plays, as he says, bad trumpet. But his guitar work is phenomenal. I mean, you've seen part of his collection.
Oh yeah,
I think he probably has close to 60 guitars.
Yeah, it's crazy. He's got something for every sound.
And thus, working together, the three of us, I guess we kind of became the new Three Bad Brothers, but instead of that, we became the Rat Bastards.
Yep.
I think Slip came up with that name.
Yeah, I think he did, because he said he always liked to be called that. Yeah, I think he did.
Yeah, there used to be a show called the with Gary Shandling. I don't know if you remember it or not, but Rip Torn played his manager, and it was kind of like a Tonight Show thing. And Rip Torn played his manager, and everybody was a rat bastard. So that's where that came from. So since I got to say that was about 2009.
I think that was
when we started working with Slip.
Yeah, I think that was.
And that's been quite a while.
Yeah, no, it has been long.
Now you're essentially a solo artist now, because we don't ever get any credit on your records or anything. So,
I take all.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I wrote this. No, so but you're the, we're the team, but you're the, you're the pitcher, you're the quarterback,
the face of the product.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So, what challenges have you found in getting your music out there now?
Yeah, well, it's just different, right? It's all, and I think now more than ever, it changes
daily
faster and faster, to where, it's just an ocean out there. And I wish I had some kind of knowledge to tell everybody like how to get it out there. But I mean, that's the challenge, is that it's just so vast and so big now with the internet and so many platforms. And I mean, for instance, when we were manufacturing vinyls, I mean, there was only like 3 distributors that would pick up vinyl,
Right.
So you knew the 3 companies and you could contact them, and they had a department and whatnot and phone number. And now, when vinyl isn't around, but if you wanted to get your MP3 distributed, I mean, there's hundreds of distributors, maybe even thousands. I don't even know. And no one picked up. Yeah. And then, it's all digital. It's all like uploading through an FTP site or whatever. And, again, it's like you get, no placement. And, as far as like, there's just no winning formula, I guess. I think it was before there was more of a roadmap as far as like, all right, here are the distributors. You could go to the mom and pop stores, you know what I'm saying? You could go do free shows at those stores and promote your record or whatever the case is. And now just with everything being digital, it just, yeah, it's different.
So what becomes your motivation?
My final resting dying catalog.
Your legacy.
Yeah.
No, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much that's it. Because I mean, like nowadays, I think this is kind of like a real negative kind of vibe on the whole thing. I just, you know, unless you have somebody with like millions of dollars or already has that network, I mean, you're just not going to get a shot. So
it is tough. I have seen people that have been able to do things on their own and get recognition. I kind of always harken back to the, I guess it was late 80s. There was a group called the Sugar Cubes. And it was the group that Bjork came from.
Okay.
And they had a #1 record and no record label. And that had never been done. And consequently, I think they ended up getting a record deal, but they, as a lot of labels will do, they took Bjork and took her out of and then took the Sugar Cubes out of the picture.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know where they are now. Maybe currently residing in where they now file, but you know she's been huge. So it is tough to get music out there. I mean, I'm not gonna, I don't think there's any way you can tell somebody, oh, if you do this and you do that. I just get the feeling that there's no straightforward path anymore.
Yeah. And there's not even like a middle ground to where I feel back in the day, at least there was a middle class, where like you could sustain some kind of living. It may not be the greatest, but your bills are being paid and all that stuff. And there's that middle class of artists or whatever, DJs, bands. But now I just don't feel, I feel it just separates even more, to where, I mean,
yeah.
When's the last time, I mean, we're still celebrating, like, I always remember every decade you had this iconic artist, whatever, but like the last decade, what iconic artist is there? We're still celebrating the 2000 artists almost, I feel like, because that was like the last decade of those kind of artists. And there's, nowadays they spit you out after a single and you were hot for that, whatever
yeah.
that video
it's
was.
Very flavor of the week mentality now. And part of that has to do with record labels became owned by lawyers. Lawyers were put in charge of them. And so all they see is a bottom line figure.
Oh, yeah.
And if you can't produce that, then, you don't hear about any artist being developed anymore. Like, from a personal side, I can speak about Lenny Kravitz. This is a guy that, Virgin Records signed him. His first album came out, and he had a small hit with that song "Let Love Rule." He had a good video. It was being played on MTV and all that. But overall, in the U.S., he was not accepted. It really wasn't until he came out with the Mama Said album, I think it was called, and he had the song "It Ain't Over Till It's Over." And by the time he got to his 5th album, that just took off. That put him on the map. But that's 4 records that Virgin had to invest in him to get their payoff and to get him at a place where, he needed to be.
Yeah, I think that's just where our culture's at as a society. Like everything is so fast paced. It's like the speed of it just keeps increasing. Like, even like in sports, you know, the same kind of thing. When they drafted players, they'd give them 2-3 years to develop, like especially in the quarterback, and then you'd see what you got. Now it's like first year you're drafted, it's like, what do you got? Oh, you don't have anything, you're done. And it's the same thing with the artists. It's like, you're hot single, nope, you're done. It's like, it's just where we're at right
now. And that's why, you know, apps like TikTok are so successful, because you got to get what you got to say in under a minute. And, you know, most people's attention span is probably about 10 seconds now.
Yeah, and that's it. You're not even hearing a song on TikTok or, you know, what have you. And it's like, you really are getting a snippet of the song. So that snippet could be hot. And then that guy gets picked up and they realize, like, this guy can't even write a dang song. Like, oh, he's done.
Yeah, I don't know too many people that have gotten picked up from a TikTok snippet, but I could be wrong. You know, I just started getting on TikTok, so, and
or any social media platform, you know what I mean? Whatever, like.
Now I have seen people on YouTube turn that around for themselves. A group called Pomplamoose comes to mind. A duo, and they started making really great videos and doing covers, and people started gravitating towards it. And, you know, the next thing you know, they caught the attention of Toyota, and Toyota had them do a commercial for them. It's a husband and wife duo. The husband is the one who started Patreon. So, you know, they understood that digital medium so well and got in on it kind of ground flourish. And now, you know, we're just trying to, you know, tread water to get to where everybody else is.
Yeah.
With that. On your music, what's your approach to things? How do you have a formula, or what comes first? What's the
Yeah, it's different every time, I guess. I mean, I really don't. I'm pretty chaotic in my head anyway. My circuits don't work as well as they used to. They just kind of zip and zap. But sometimes I'll start off with, okay, I'll probably say the majority of the time I'll start off with a beat, just because I'm DJ oriented.
Right.
But it could be something totally different. Maybe one day I'm at the gym and I hear a song and I'm like, oh man, that'd be cool to remix. And then I bring the acapella in and I start doing the song. Then I'm like, oh, I hate the acapella. This is just an original song. And I toss that, you know, or what have you. So it really just depends. It's just like, I think the most important thing is if you have an idea or you got a spark, like, get in and put it down. It doesn't have to be finished that day, but write the idea down, get it down.
And that's almost where I'll disagree with you. I think as a songwriter, and this would apply to electronic music as well, you have to see it through. I mean, I'm, you know, and I'm doing
kind of like your album, Buzz.
Well, my album is, all the songs are done. It's the production around the songs. The songs have all been written. So there's a big difference. But we're still looking for a 2021 fourth quarter release.
Generations have come and gone waiting for this.
Say what?
Generations have come and gone waiting for this album.
Well, my record label has. Because my first album came out in 2006.
There you go.
And on Blue Canoe Records. And they were just getting off the ground. But, you know, the odd thing is I still make money off of that record. Because what I do is, you know, for myself is not kind of in the moment, you know. In other words, you could listen to something I did 15 years ago and you won't be able to date it from production. It's going to have a a bit of a timeless quality. You might hear something and go, oh, that's an old Roland D50 on there. And there is one or two songs where I can hear that and just go, oh, that's so 80s. But, you know, but it's coming, and you know, we're not here to talk about my record. But what I was driving at with that is it's always important to finish things, because and I'm guilty of this too. I probably have at least 30 or 40 germs of ideas sitting around, and they can range anywhere from an 8-bar section to, you know, 3 minutes, but it's I can't find where where it wants to go. The song is not telling me, and you hear me say that to you all the time. Let the song tell you where it wants to go. Don't you try and tell it where it's going.
Yeah, and exactly, like, so that's my, I guess that's my thing, is that, like, when I say get an idea down, like, I get it down, get as much momentum as I can get out there. But if I'm just sitting there at a keyboard and I'm just like thinking, what next, and all of a sudden, like, 30 minutes go by, like, I know when I'm spinning my wheels, and I think to unspin your wheels, just get out of it, turn the computer off, do something else, revisit it at a later date, rather than sitting there and trying to, like, squeeze out a final song.
Or call me over.
Yeah, or call Buzz. There you go. Call Buzz.
No, I mean, seriously. I mean, I remember, I can probably not even more than a few weeks ago. There's always something that you've got going on.
Yeah.
And then you'll play it for me, and I'll go, well, you know, maybe if you did this, and you know, sometimes you take my suggestion, sometimes you don't, but you at least take the direction that I was kind of heading and going, okay, well, maybe if I do this, that will work.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
that's because you have so much knowledge and music knowledge. Plug. That's why you should follow Buzz on his channel and take lessons. But like a guy like me that only has maybe like a finger of that knowledge, like, you do need to, like, or anyone else out there, that's, you know, get the idea down, pass it to someone, if like yourself or whoever in your circle or whatever.
Well, I found that collaborating with you, you know, I hear things all of a sudden that I would have never thought of. So, you know, I could sit around and collaborate with other people that are in my genre, or, you know, or what I perceive to be my genre and things like that. But I get more out of hearing what you started and going, oh, well, we can do this. Now, I know there have been times where you started something, and by the time I get it back to you, it's nothing like, you know, it's barely resemble. And sometimes you're cool with it, and sometimes you're just like, no, this ain't going to fly.
Yeah, that's all part of the process, for sure. But that's what's cool. I mean, like, there's nothing better than, like, especially like, you know, even going kind of back to when I started doing lessons with you, you know, yes, we did piano lessons, but really, like, it wasn't piano lessons. It was more theory. It was like why chords work with each other, how to make tension release, how to make this. And so it, you know, diverted over to that. So I truly, to this day, like, am not a player of piano. However, I do have a good knowledge of what's going on. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And see, I don't consider any of that a diversion. I feel, you know, you don't have to know a lot to be able to do a lot of things. It's, you know, you've heard me say this saying a lot in the last couple of days. You teach a man to fish. You know, if I show you how certain sets of chords work together, well, you can run with that knowledge however you want. And typically you do. And, you know, and a lot of times you come up with some interesting chord progressions, and, you know, and I'll have to tell you, you know, hey, okay, you borrowed from the parallel major or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'll explain to you, or at least try and explain to you what it is that you did. even though you didn't know it, so that the next time when you've kind of hit a little wall there in creating, you go, you know, I remember something about modal interchange. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And then all of a sudden you got a whole new thing happening.
Yeah.
And I do the same thing. I was told a long time ago, learn everything you can about music and then forget it.
Yep.
And a lot of it I have forgotten, but from teaching, I've had to relearn some of it, or at least relearn what it is. It's like there's certain things I know how to do, and somebody will go, well, how did you come up with that? And I'm like, I don't know, but I did know at one point, if you see what I'm saying.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep.
So, and I'm always very interested in each person's creative process. I think that's because no two people are alike. You sit down, you might, like you say, start with a beat. I typically don't write at the piano because I feel if I can only play but so well, then I'm limited by what I can play. But I can hear all kinds of stuff. So I'll get the idea out. But then there are times where I sit down and, maybe I got a new VST or something, and I hit a chord and I'm like, oh, I like the way what it's doing, the sound of it and stuff. And then that inspires me. Or like, you passing off a beat. So, all those kind of things help in the creative process.
Yeah, for sure. No, 1,000%. And like you said, it all depends on your background and stuff and everything. And, with DJing and playing records, it is just a couple, oh, I heard that. Oh, cool. I got it. And your attention span is a lot different.
Well, and I watch, when you DJ on most Thursday nights on Twitch.
Twitch.tv/DJ Kid Star. Follow me.
Give it again.
Twitch.tv/DJ Kid Star with 2 D's. Follow me.
And that's actually a /.
Is it a /?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
It goes
this way.
I bet
the top of it is to the right and it goes downward.
I've had my slashies all wrong.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, that's what's the problem. You've been telling people /, and there's this DJ Kid Star / dude who's killing right now.
My slashies are all messed up, people.
But and that's one thing about you. I'll say I've never met somebody who hustles as much as you do.
Well, I appreciate that, man.
Well, I know you're learning the new game, but you're playing the new game. And I appreciate you taking me along into it.
Of course.
Because say what?
You're my Yoda.
Well, because I don't know, I came up through the traditional ranks of a record label and big studios and the budgets and the whole bit, tape recording to multi-track 24-track tape or whatever. It's a pretty different world out there. I appreciate I'm glad that I learned how to work within a DAW. I got involved in that in like '89, so I wasn't cutting edge, but it was the first year. Like I'm a Cubase user, and that was the first year they came out, and it was for an Atari 1040 ST, which is what I had, so it was perfect.
Yeah.
So I gradually learn things, and there's a lot of times where you push. and that's fine, because
Yeah.
I'll put up my little resistance, and then I just move forward and do it. I'm 67 years old. I'm going to have resistance.
Of course. And hey, that's I think a natural human reaction or instinct is change is uncomfortable, unfortunately, but you got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable because in today's world, it moves so fast and you just got to learn that, like, I just got to jump. It took me a while to kind of get that mindset as well. It's like, I just got, it's going.
I'm more, thanks to you, I've more than doubled my followers in one afternoon.
And it's, yeah. And the best, I think for me, at least the way I see it is like, and this is kind of a whole bigger even so, but like, there are so many platforms. And that is a good thing about today is that
Yes.
like, there are so many ways to get out there. I like to think it's too many ways, but there are a lot of ways. But the people in the game, it's like with the technology out here, which I think is the best, it allows too many people, and it's sometimes like, the computer guys have the edge because they're computer, but the talent is lacking. And I think now more than ever, we are, we're seeing that, whereas like talent is lacking, and it's sad because we're killing the art. But if you do have talent and you can figure out these little platforms or whatever, I mean, you can do it all yourself.
There's a lot that can be done.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying about you and your Twitch channel and teaching piano and this theory. I mean, like, man, people need to hear the information. They need to soak it in, to learn, to get their music better and to be better. And like, man, what better time to do it than now when you have the platforms and all you got to do is sign up an account.
Yeah.
And next thing you know.
Yeah, it is easy. I'll give you that. It does start taking up time though.
Oh yeah.
Like, you showed me how I can start making my own flyers for advertising and things like that. That's something I've never done. I'm used to, when I was with a label, it was like, oh, I bet the art department can whip that up for me. And that's what it was. But, I don't have that luxury anymore.
Yeah. You got to do it. You got to do it yourself nowadays. You're going to have to do everything. The good thing about that is there are programs out there for everything. There's templates. We put a damn robot on Mars. Let me tell you something. Something's out there that does what you need to be done.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Find that.
And it felt good, like when you were doing my flyers for the first few weeks, and then I bought a program, and you showed me essentially how to use it, and I'm still learning, but now I can actually make my own.
Yeah, and you're doing good. And you see how fast you picked it up in 2 days. Think about how you're going to be in 6 months.
Yeah, I mean it's not that difficult, but again, it takes time, and it takes away from other things.
For sure.
And that's one thing. I've never been business minded. If I had, I'd be in a lot better position right now than I am. I used to have an old girlfriend that said, "Boy, if I knew you back when you were at the record label, we could retire now." Well, and here I am, 67 years old, trying to hustle. So
keeps the blood flowing, man.
Well, if I had to have a knack for business or a knack for music, I'd take the knack for music
for sure.
Any day, because I can always find somebody who can do the business for me at some point.
Yep.
But I applaud you because you work all the different social media. You're on. I know you spend a lot of time on the phone, which who uses the phone anymore? But you spend a lot of time on the phone. You spend a lot of time through emails. You're a hustler.
I appreciate that. And that's the world today, right? So
just kind of to wrap up, where do you see yourself going in the next few years? Let's not even project 5 years. Just well, first of all, how did the pandemic affect you?
Well, yeah, it decimated me. So at the time, I had started an entertainment company with my business partner, Jason Kagan, and we did mitzvahs and corporate events and such. and that was doing great. We also like started like branching out to like production to where, we could do audio, lighting, staging, and all that. So, and video work and stuff. So that was going well. And then I also had my club gigs, so it was kind of like, doing everything was working kind of together, and that pandemic hit, and then all of a sudden calendars just cleared out. So at that point, you imagine having like a bunch of dates on the calendar, people then now canceling those dates, not knowing what you're doing, taking deposits back. You're like, whoa, what? And it was all hell breaking loose. And I think, a lot of people felt that way. And so,
yeah, like our industry is going to be the last to bounce back. I still can't tour.
Yeah.
I usually go to Japan 2-3 times a year. That's off the table this year. Again.
What's that?
Somebody with a motorcycle or something.
Oh, that was your stomach, man.
No, I ate before we did this. Do you see things changing because of the pandemic, of how you're going to have to earn a living going forward?
1,000%. I think the game has definitely changed, as always. The game always changes.
Yeah.
But I think this time, though, instead of it changing and me having to chase it, it changed, and now it's like it almost, at least what I feel, is it fell in my lap. Like, I can't brag enough about Twitch. I'll tell you, I absolutely love the platform. Whereas, like, when I was hustling club gigs, when you're hustling club gigs, it's not about you or your music. It's about the audience. What is the audience here? So you're going to have to dictate your playlist to what they want to hear. And so you'll find 99% of your gigs, you're playing stuff you don't like or you don't want to like. Or like I was talking to you the other day, I mean, I'm 44 years old and I'm playing for 20-year-olds. Like, I don't like their music. So I'm not going to play it with passion, or I'm not going to play it cool because I don't like it. Two, you can feel your innards wanting to get back to your stuff. And so at that point, it's like, yeah, that's not my audience. So clubs was a bad thing almost. It was only for the job. And that's when that happens, you're going down a bad road. But with Twitch, when it came out, it was like, okay, I get to play what I want to play in my own house and make money off it. Oh yeah, I'm all about that. And it provides you with like, not just the music, but like you're not only listening to the music that artist is playing, but then you're getting to interact with them and seeing if you like them on a personal basis, which is, even greater. So you can like establish friendships and, stuff.
I mean,
and all within the confines of a camera and a computer. And ages, I mean, you can find older people, younger people. I mean, people in Germany, people in Netherlands, people.
You don't find that too solitary?
I mean, isn't that where we're going anyway as a society? I mean,
that's one of my biggest complaints about music today is that it's all so solitary. I mean, I can sit in my house. I mean, I've scored movies in here. I don't need and mix them. I don't need anybody supposedly. But there's a different energy, and this happens with an audience too. There's a different energy when people are watching you and when they're in a room and when like going to a movie and you're sitting in a theater with, 100 other people and something funny happens and everybody laughs and it gives it a much more excitement. When you're watching the movie at home, even if you're watching it on a big screen, the laugh comes and you kind of laugh and what do you look at Stoli and go, hey, did you think that was funny? That's a tough aspect.
I think you definitely, when you have different personalities like that, right? You got the introvert and the extrovert, but I think with at least the Twitch, what it gave artists during the pandemic, and I think moving forward as well, and a lot, for instance, when you go to a club or you go to an arena, like the first thing they say is, what's your fan base like, right?
Right.
And so what are they going to check? They're going to check your Facebooks, your Instagrams, or whatever. Well, Twitch is now one of those platforms. And so now it's almost, you can use this as a foundation tool to get you to that arena, to get you into those clubs, but get you into those clubs as like an artist almost, because you're like, hey, listen, I got hundreds or thousands of people listening to me on Twitch. You know, you're coming in there at a different angle. And so if you can use that platform to move forward, that's what I think is so great about it, and make money on top of it. Then all of a sudden you're sitting with business club owners and tour guys in a different kind of mindset, and they're looking at you differently because you have this. I enjoy it. I like it. I think it's going to be huge. It's already huge. I mean, you got the gamers on there making millions of dollars. And I mean, for instance, like, you know, you could teach, but I mean, at the end of the day, you're right. Nothing beats human interaction.
Yeah.
You think that's an avenue to that human interaction that you want for concerts and stuff. But yeah, nothing will beat playing live at clubs or at, you know, arenas or, and I don't think that's ever going to go away.
I don't know if it'll ever go away, but I don't think it'll come back the same way.
Yeah,
I think we're going to be, you know, I think there's going to be a lot of changes made. I don't know what they are, because if I did, I'd be on top of it and be the forerunner.
What's that one song? Everything changes. Everything. You know what song that is? That 80 is it 80? Everything changes. No?
Maybe from the way
All right,
you're
if
singing.
you watch this, you need to put in the chat who sings that. Everything changes. I don't know if I'm singing that right, but that's the hook line.
Okay. For all you people out there watching, type in the response. The winner will get a 1 month subscription to Kid Star's channel.
There you go, Buzz.
And I have to have more than 5 people in my chat room before I start giving away anything.
You're almost there. We need to get Buzz 50 followers by what do you got, 2 weeks?
Yeah, about
2 weeks.
Hey, I'm giving away knowledge.
That's right. I mean, exactly.
Somewhat.
You might as well, I'm telling you, everybody watching this, get it free while you can, because you freeloaders aren't going to get it like this anymore.
That's right, because
That's right.
I'm going to be sticking
I'm
it
going
to
to force Buzz to charge you fools for not taking.
My manager, is going
right.
to see to it that people have to pay.
They better be. They will be. I'm telling you, they will be paying for this. So get it while you can.
All right. Well, I wish we could have some chats in the same room at some point, but maybe over the weekend.
Yeah, I'll definitely come over there and we'll do a in-person chat.
Yeah.
Last time we did key changes.
We did your thing on modulations, yes.
Which I will say this, if everyone's in the chat and interested about music, check that out, because key changes is awesome.
They've taken it down already. They only keep things up for a specific time for me right now.
Did you put it on your YouTube?
I think it's on YouTube, Buzz Amato YouTube.
There you go. Go to Buzz Amato YouTube and subscribe to his YouTube channel. That shit ain't going to be free too much longer either.
All right, kid.
All right.
I'll holler at you later.
All right. I'll see you, Buzz.
All right, man. Take care.
Peace.
Peace.
I miss my Georgia.